I cut dairy to stop feeling sick after years of tolerating it. But when I got sick at a family dinner and asked my mom why she didn't take my allergy seriously, I embarrassed everyone. Growing up with food allergies isn't always easy. It's even harder when your own family, who has always tried their best in your eyes, starts treating that allergy like it's no longer real. I, 19, female, have been allergic to dairy since I was a baby. Not lactose intolerant, not sensitive to milk, but genuinely allergic. As a baby, even small amounts of dairy would cause vomiting, discomfort, and a host of digestive issues that left me miserable. My parents were very proactive in helping me manage the allergy. From what I understand, my pediatrician recommended a gradual exposure plan, a long, careful process involving slowly introducing trace amounts of dairy under supervision to see if my body could build tolerance. The goal wasn't to cure the allergy per se, but rather to help reduce its intensity so that accidental ingestion wouldn't result in extreme reactions. It was an approach that required time, diligence, and a lot of food tracking. For years, this plan defined a big part of our lives. Special grocery shopping trips, detailed food diaries, discussions with nutritionists. My parents were deeply involved. When I was in elementary school, my mom used to pack my lunch every single day. At first, they were dairy-free, but over time, small amounts were added. I remember the strange pride they felt when I could eat a slice of pizza or a cookie with butter in it without getting violently ill. But there was always something off. Sure, I wasn't throwing up anymore, but I never felt well after eating dairy. Stomachaches were routine. A bowl of mac and cheese meant curling up on the couch for an hour afterward. Ice cream was a summertime favorite, but it came with a price: bloating, discomfort, and that strange churning that became all too familiar. Somewhere along the line, the narrative changed, from she's allergic to she used to be allergic. My parents would tell people, Pemi worked really hard to help her build tolerance, or she's fine now, she just gets a little tummy ache sometimes. I didn't even realize I was internalizing this. I thought the pain was normal, just part of eating certain foods. It wasn't until recently that I had a wake-up call. A couple of months ago, I went on a school trip with my university class. It was a week-long academic tour, and the travel itinerary involved a lot of bus rides, walking, and general physical activity. Knowing my digestion tends to go a bit haywire with travel, motion sickness, and all that, I asked in advance if I could be placed on the dairy-free meal list. I didn't even think of it as a medical need at the time, just a precaution to avoid extra discomfort during the trip. What happened next genuinely surprised me. I felt great the entire week. No stomach pain, no bloating, no rushing to the bathroom or lingering discomfort after meals. I had more energy, more mental clarity, and, this sounds silly, but I just felt lighter, like I wasn't dragging around this constant fog of low-level sickness. It was the first time in as long as I could remember that food felt like it was helping me, not hurting me. That's when I realized my body never fully adjusted to dairy. It just tolerated it up to a point, and I'd accepted pain as part of my normal experience. Coming back from the trip, I decided to cut dairy out of my diet completely. It wasn't some dramatic, restrictive decision. I just wanted to feel good, the way I had on that trip. And it worked. My digestion has improved immensely since going dairy-free again. I sleep better. I study better. My mood has improved. The change was undeniable. But here's the thing. Cutting out dairy completely means that whatever tolerance I once had has now faded. My body, not used to processing it anymore, reacts very strongly to even small traces. What was once a dull ache is now full-blown sickness again if I eat something that's contaminated. I knew this would happen. I even discussed it with a campus nutritionist who supported the decision but warned me to be extra cautious if I reintroduced dairy again. I called my parents a few weeks after getting back to school and told them about my decision. I expected support, or at least neutrality, but instead, I was met with resistance. We didn't spend almost 2 decades helping you build up your tolerance just for you to throw it away, my mom said. It feels like all our work was for nothing, my dad added. I tried to explain that I wasn't ungrateful. I appreciated everything they'd done. But the point of the plan wasn't to win some award or prove a point. It was to help me live a better life. And I finally was living a better life, just not the way they had envisioned. Fast forward to a recent family gathering. My parents were hosting a dinner party for extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, a few close family friends. I hadn't been home in a while, so I was looking forward to catching up. But I was also nervous. I had emailed my mom ahead of time, gently reminding her that I was no longer eating dairy and asking if there might be options I could eat. She didn't reply. When I arrived, the table was beautifully set, the smells were wonderful, and the atmosphere was warm. But as I looked around at the spread, my heart sank. Cream-based soups, cheesy casseroles, butter-laden bread rolls, mashed potatoes with cream, and even dairy-based desserts. There wasn't a single item that was safe. I quietly asked if there was something dairy-free, and my mom just shrugged. "You can just scrape the cheese off," she said. "You used to be able to handle it just fine." Not wanting to cause a scene, I tried. I scraped, I picked. I avoided the worst offenders. But the truth is, dairy can hide in ingredients like sauces and glazes. Even small traces can make me sick now. By the time the main course was over, I already felt the familiar cramping and discomfort setting in. I excused myself quietly and went to the bathroom, where I stayed for quite a while. I came back, sipped some water, tried to smile and laugh with my relatives, but had to excuse myself again within 10 minutes. My stomach was not cooperating. This repeated several times. After my third or fourth trip to the restroom, my mom gave me a sharp look and said, loud enough for people to hear, "Why are you being so rude? You're up and down like a yo-yo. Can't you sit still and enjoy dinner like everyone else?" That stung, not just because it was said in front of family, but because it made me feel like a problem, like I was being disrespectful for having a medical condition that I had tried to manage quietly. So I snapped, not in a shouting, angry way, but I responded firmly. "Why don't you take my allergy seriously?" I said, "You're the reason I've been eating food that makes me sick my whole life. I just didn't realize it until recently." The table went very quiet. A few of my cousins looked over, wide-eyed. My aunt asked if I was okay. I felt my cheeks flush with embarrassment, but also with a strange sense of release. I'd finally said it. I'd finally voiced the frustration I'd been carrying for years. After dinner, my mom pulled me aside. She wasn't yelling, but her tone was cold. "That was completely uncalled for," she said. "You humiliated us in front of everyone. We've only ever tried to help you." I told her I didn't mean to cause a scene, but I had been sick all evening and couldn't keep pretending like it didn't matter. She didn't respond. My dad chimed in later saying, "It just felt like a low blow. You made it sound like we did something wrong when we were just trying to improve your quality of life." And that's the crux of my guilt. I know my parents weren't acting out of malice. I truly believe they thought they were helping. And for a long time, their plan did allow me to eat more freely than I could as a child. But I now realize that just because something looks better on paper doesn't mean it feels better. For years, I was told that I was cured, or at least, I'm better. But I was still living in pain. And when I tried to take control of that, to improve my health in a way that actually made me feel good, I was met with resistance. So yes, I probably embarrassed them in front of our family. Yes, my comment may have come off as accusatory. And yes, I diverted some attention during a gathering that wasn't supposed to be about me. But I also think there's a deeper issue here, a need for my parents to accept that my experience of my body is valid, even if it doesn't match their expectations. Was I too harsh? Possibly. Was I trying to make a scene? Absolutely not. Was it the only way I could finally get them to hear me? Maybe. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my parents in public over an allergy? Story 2. I'm struggling to plan my best friend's bridal shower as maid of honor while preparing for my PhD program and a cross-country move. Would it be selfish to ask her mom to take over? I, 24 female, am one of the 2 maids of honor for my best friend Rachel, 24 female. Rachel and I have been close for years. We met during our freshman year of college and quickly became inseparable. She's been there for me through breakups, career doubts, family troubles, and all the ups and downs of early adulthood. When she got engaged last June, I was thrilled for her. Her fiancé is kind, respectful, and clearly adores her. When she asked me and our other college best friend Amanda, also 24 female, to be her co-maids of honor, I didn't even hesitate. I was honored, genuinely, and I still am, but I'm also incredibly overwhelmed. You see, Amanda and I have been planning Rachel's bachelorette party together, and while it's been a lot of fun, it has also been time-consuming and stressful. Amanda recently started a rigorous physician assistant program in another state, and her schedule is packed. She's often buried in exams, rotations, and clinical prep, and she's not always available to meet or plan things in real time. I don't blame her at all, it's just the nature of her life right now. Meanwhile, I've been preparing for my own big transition. I'm about to leave my current job and start a clinical psychology PhD program, something I've worked incredibly hard for. The application process alone was a marathon of essays, interviews, and coordination. And now, with acceptance letters in and the program's start date on the horizon, my life is filled with to-do lists, relocation logistics, financial planning, and emotional preparation for what will be an incredibly demanding but fulfilling next chapter. Rachel and I currently live in the same city, but I'll be moving at the beginning of May, just a few weeks before her wedding. With Amanda out of state and me preparing to move across the country, we both knew the bachelorette party would be our big joint contribution. And despite our hectic schedules, we've pulled together what I think is a beautiful weekend. We've booked a cozy yet chic Airbnb for the group, arranged a private boat charter for one of the days, and brainstormed some thoughtful, personalized games and activities. I even created a digital itinerary and themed playlist. It's going to be something special. That's why what happened this week has left me feeling off balance. Earlier this week, Rachel's mom called me out of the blue. She sounded excited and cheerful, maybe even a little rushed. "Hi, sweetie," she said. "I just wanted to check in and see if you needed help planning the bridal shower." Rachel's really looking forward to it. I was silent for a moment, trying to process. Bridal shower? This was the first I'd heard of it. I politely asked her for more details, trying to hide my confusion. She rattled off some ideas about a brunch at a local venue, some games, and having Rachel's fiancé's family attend, along with some of Rachel's friends and our college crew. Still unsure, I thanked her and told her I'd give Rachel a call to clarify. When I spoke to Rachel later that afternoon, she confirmed it. Yes, they'd been looking into venues, and yes, she had hoped I would help organize the shower. "It's something I've always dreamed of," she said, not accusingly, but with this kind of wistful certainty. "Just a sweet brunch with everyone I love. Nothing fancy, just special." I told her gently that I hadn't realized she was expecting me to plan the event, and that I was starting to feel a bit overwhelmed with everything already on my plate. I explained my workload, my upcoming move, and how I was already deeply involved in making the bachelorette weekend unforgettable. I wasn't trying to make excuses. I just wanted to be honest. Rachel was kind about it. She didn't seem angry or disappointed, just a little surprised. "Oh, well, I guess I assumed. Amanda can't help with this one, so I thought it'd be you." That's when she mentioned they'd already picked a tentative date and venue. Trying not to panic, I asked her for a guest list and told her I'd talk with her mom again to figure out the details. When I called her mom back, things became clearer. The venue was more or less confirmed. The brunch style was set. The guest list was mostly assembled. She was even willing to pay for the location and food, something I was immensely grateful for, since my move and job transition had already drained a lot of my savings. But the rest? That was apparently up to me. Invitations, party favors, decorations, games, coordinating RSVPs, managing any allergies or food requests, arranging music or entertainment, it was all up for grabs. Rachel's mom was happy to help, but emphasized that she didn't want to step on toes, and figured this was something the maid of honor usually takes care of. That's when the panic really set in. The bridal shower would be in mid-April, right at the peak of my moving timeline. That's when I'd be scheduling movers, wrapping up my final weeks at work, finalizing housing in my new city, attending orientation sessions, and saying goodbye to my current life. I already knew April would be a stressful month, but this added pressure made it feel completely unmanageable. Amanda and I talked on the phone that night, and she was surprised I hadn't been told about the bridal shower sooner. "It feels a little unfair," she said. "They kind of dropped this in your lap and assumed you'd be fine with it. You're already doing so much." Some of my other friends were equally supportive. One pointed out that bridal showers aren't even always expected these days. They're more traditional in some families, but definitely not required. Another reminded me that, historically, they're often organized by the bride's mother or a group of relatives. It's only become common for the maid of honor to do it when there aren't other people available. But I kept circling back to one feeling: guilt. I am the maid of honor. I want to make Rachel feel loved, supported, and celebrated during this major moment in her life. I know weddings are stressful, and I want to do my part to make things easier, not harder. I don't want her to feel like she's asking for too much, or that her joy is a burden. I care about her deeply. At the same time, I feel like I've already hit my limit. The bachelorette party alone has been a major undertaking, planning activities, budgeting, organizing schedules, managing logistics across multiple states, and trying to create moments that Rachel will remember for a lifetime. I've put hours into it, hours I often don't really have to spare, and I've done it gladly. But now I'm worried that, if I stretch myself further, I'll burn out completely. I want to be present at the wedding. I want to show up emotionally and physically refreshed, not drained or resentful. But right now, the idea of planning another entire event in the middle of this storm feels impossible. And I'm afraid that if I say that out loud, to Rachel or her mom, it will sound selfish. Like I don't care enough. Like I'm not fulfilling my role as maid of honor. So now I'm wondering, would I be the bad friend if I asked Rachel's mom to take the lead entirely on the bridal shower? I would still love to contribute in smaller ways. I could help with the invitations, maybe design something digital. I could brainstorm games or themes, and coordinate with her mom to make sure things feel personal and meaningful. I'd absolutely show up, help set up the venue, make a toast, and do everything I can to support the day. I just can't plan it all from start to finish. I know some people might say, and it's just one more party. But for me, right now, it's a lot. And I'm struggling with the idea of letting someone down during what's supposed to be one of the happiest times of their life. I also keep thinking about the way Rachel said she's always dreamed of this. Just a simple brunch surrounded by the people she loves. That image is hard to shake. I don't want to be the reason that dream is tainted or doesn't happen. But at the same time, I know that weddings are full of expectations that can spiral out of control. And people often need reminders that it's okay to not do everything. It's okay to delegate. It's okay to ask for help. I've thought about sending Rachel a message, something heartfelt and honest. I'd explain how much she means to me, how excited I am for her, how proud I am to stand by her side at the altar. I'd tell her how much I've loved helping plan the bachelorette and how I want to be fully present for the wedding and the celebrations that matter most. But I'd also gently ask if her mom could take the lead on the bridal shower, with my support in smaller ways. I hope she'll understand. Would I be the bad person for saying I don't have the time or capacity to plan my best friend's bridal shower, even if I'm her maid of honor? Story 3. I told my mom I didn't want to move back to my birthplace and that I didn't want a graduation party. She called me spoiled and dismissed my mental health. I, 17, female, have always understood that life involves change. Sometimes it's subtle, like a change in weather, a shift in routine, and sometimes it's massive, like packing up your entire life and moving to a new place. I've done the latter 3 times. Each time, it's like being dropped into a new world without a map or a guidebook, expected to find my way and make it work. At this point, you'd think I'd be used to it, right? Well, the thing is, I've finally found a place that feels like home. Not just a house I sleep in or a neighborhood I can navigate without Google Maps, but an actual home. Friends that feel like family. Streets that feel safe. Places that bring comfort. I've spent my formative teenage years here, learning, growing, making memories I actually want to hold on to. So when my mom sat me down recently and asked how I'd feel about moving back to the place where I was born, I had a lump in my throat before I even responded. She framed it as something positive. Closer to family, she said, like that was a magic fix for everything. She said it would be easier to plan my graduation party there next year. She talked about the benefits of being near my siblings. She made it sound like this decision was a gift. But to me, it felt like being told to abandon everything that had finally started to make me feel whole. I tried to explain this to her as calmly as I could. I told her I didn't really care for the idea of moving, that there's nothing for me there, that I'd be lonely, cut off from the people and places that have become a lifeline for me. I admitted I'd probably fall into depression again if we moved. It wasn't a threat. It was an honest confession. Her response? Being with family is what's important. She dismissed everything I had said like I was a petulant child, throwing a tantrum over something trivial. Then, she brought up the graduation party again. She insisted that it would be better to plan it near our extended family. That she wanted to make it special. I looked her in the eye and told her the truth, that I didn't even want a graduation party. That big social events overwhelm me. especially since school has been a major source of trauma. I said that I would honestly prefer to spend that day alone or sleeping, anything but a crowded party with people I barely know. Instead of hearing me out, she doubled down. She said that moving would also help my siblings, that it was important for them too. When I mentioned how unsafe that neighborhood is, how I wouldn't even feel comfortable walking outside or hanging out with friends the way I do now, she said, "That's how your siblings lived, and they turned out fine. You're just spoiled." That word, spoiled, cut deeper than I expected. It made me feel selfish for even having emotions about this. But I responded the only way I knew how, with honesty. I said, "Oh, that's not my problem. I'm okay with moving if that's what we're doing, but I need you to understand that I won't do well just sitting in the house all day." And here's the part that still makes my heart hurt. My mom and stepdad both know the truth. They know that for most of my life, I've felt unsafe and unheard in my own home. They know about the mental, emotional, and spiritual abuse I've endured. They've acknowledged it. But when I tell them how I'm trying to heal, how I've started to understand my depression, how I've learned to identify my triggers, they act like I'm being dramatic. My mom yelled at me. She told me I was letting my sadness control me, that I was embracing depression like a comfort blanket. I told her, "It's okay to be sad, but if I keep ignoring how I really feel, it's going to turn into something worse." That's how people become angry all the time. That's how they stop trusting others. Depression doesn't just disappear, and pretending it's not there only makes it louder. Instead of listening, she got angrier. She told me to unjet out with that energy because she didn't want that kind of toxic mindset in her house. She started tearing me down, accusing me of being spoiled again, of not appreciating what I have just because I live under the same roof as my stepdad and my mom while my siblings don't. She started saying things about my friends, my values, my beliefs about school, even my personality. She mocked the way I think. She twisted my words and used them against me, taunting and belittling me like I was a stranger she resented, instead of her own daughter trying to be heard. Every time I tried to explain myself or correct a misunderstanding, she cut me off. She didn't want a conversation. She wanted to be right. I left the conversation not feeling sad, but hollow. Like there was no room for me in her vision of our life together. Like my voice didn't matter. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't slam doors or cause a scene. All I did was say how I felt. Maybe I wasn't eloquent. Maybe my words didn't come out the way I intended. Emotional intelligence has always been hard for me, and I've often wondered if I might be on the autism spectrum. I have a lot of trouble expressing myself in ways that people accept, but even with that, I still think I deserve to be heard. I know moving isn't always optional. I know families have to make decisions that don't make everyone happy. I even understand that sometimes we have to do what's uncomfortable for the greater good. But when I'm told that my trauma, my depression, my triggers, and my healing don't matter, just because I'm not excited about a party or a move, I feel erased. And that's why I'm here. Because a part of me feels guilty. I know my mom has a lot on her plate. I know she wants the best for everyone. But I don't think that should come at the expense of my mental health or well-being. And I don't think telling the truth about how I feel makes me a bad daughter. Am I the bad person for telling my mom how I really felt about moving? Honestly, I don't think so. I wasn't trying to ruin anything. I wasn't being defiant or disrespectful. I was just being honest. And sometimes honesty sounds harsher than we mean it to, especially when we're speaking through pain. But I've learned that pretending to be okay doesn't make things better. It just makes the people around you more comfortable while you silently unravel inside. And I don't want to unravel anymore. I want to grow.